I was one of a family of 7, and 6 of those were boys. Had a great family life, and I went to the Central School, which was a type of grammar school. You had to pass your 11 plus.
Oh, I always wanted to be a nurse. I used to bandage up the cat and the dog till my grandfather told me to stop it because the dog and the animals didn't like it.
I wanted to be a singer. I wrote songs, and I suppose that's what I really wanted to do. It was pretty impractical, but that was my ambition at that time, I suppose.
So then when actually a war was declared, I remember we were in our sitting room, and my father, who had been in, about 19 years previously, been in war, in the First World War, he was very upset.
Well, I was horrified because I'd always been very conscious of the horror of the First World War, and I was appalled to think that it was starting all over again.
Everybody disappeared who was fit. Children were evacuated, and I think that was one of the hardest things to take because there were no children about. And there was a funny sort of quietness in the city.
We children didn't wish to be evacuated. We could have done in my uncle's farm in Dorset, but we wanted to be home with our parents. You know, we just had the bombing and that, the guns and everything. It was a pretty frightening time, but you know, when you're young, you get on with it.
My brother was already in the army. He'd been in the Hampshire Regiment since about 1935. He was at that time in Palestine, so he was involved in the war straight away. I was waiting for call-up.
My older brothers all eventually went into the service. My oldest brother was a prisoner of war. When France collapsed, he was captured, as thousands and thousands were. I worked in a small cafe, and that was interesting because there's loads and loads of servicemen about, until I was sent into pretty hard.
But we knew something was up and something was coming, because although we were the Red Cross and the Order of St. John and we were merged then we were swept into the army. And I went to the army hospital. Jobsworth, when he said, "Where do you like to go, nurse?" "I'd like to go in the Navy." So he put me in the army, and my cousin, he put in the Navy.
I was sent into huge big sheds. They were called the rectifying sheds. When huge guns are fired, you get the shell is ejaculated at the back. They used to come back and be recycled. That was one of the jobs that I did.
We had our own canteen at the end of the block. And when the Americans come in, they had the lot, makeup and everything. So up we sent the best looking girls to borrow some sheets, which we weren't going to use their sheets anyway. And back she came with makeup. We made a mistake here. We didn't read what it said, stayed on for 4 days. Now you can put some makeup on before you got out the door. Your lipstick's wearing out, don't matter what you pay for it. Anyway, all through the night we got made up. Yeah, well, when we tried to take it off, couldn't get it off. We got the pharmacist up. We got the facial maxillary surgeon team up. But this time our lips are out here and we looked like nothing on earth. And the time was ticking by. And at 10 to 6 we lined up for inspection. And I said to my friend, "1 shilling," says, "the old girl's going to have a scream when she sees us." She said, "You know, that's the sure thing, she'll go mad." She came out, she says, "What have we got here? Portsmouth tarts? What are they doing on my ward? You're a perfect disgrace, a lot of you. Get that muck off." I said, "Well, with respect, sister, that's what we've been trying to do all night." So it did a bit of good because it got some laughter. But I've never used an X Factor since. I had to think about that.
We went to pictures an awful lot, and we girls used to come over to Portsmouth to tea dances at the Queen's, as one of the places there. And you'd have, don't forget, great shortages there, so to be able to get a cup of tea and a cake was quite nice, because cakes were getting a thing of the past, and biscuits and things, chocolate and things like that. And then you'd meet up with some servicemen of some sort if you liked them, and then you'd go to pictures with them, and then they'd see you home on the ferry boat, and you'd go home like a good girl.
2 months before D-Day, a 10-mile strip along much of Britain's coastline became a restricted zone. By May 44, thousands of troops occupied the local area and were sealed in camps to guard the secret of the imminent landings. The Allied commanders made crucial decisions about the invasion from Southwark House. In the early days of June, troops began embarking on the ships and landing crafts that would take them to Normandy.
We did fancy something was going on, but it was all very hush-hush because they didn't. The plan, as Hitler might have thought, wouldn't have come from this area, come perhaps near a Dover area. All the roads, the streets, right through all the countryside were all packed with vehicles of all sorts. And all along, in Fortin Road, all along there, when I went to work one day on my bicycle, were all these soldiers there, and they'd all been sleeping there overnight with all their kit and everything. So obviously something had to happen. We didn't know where, when, but it had to come from our shores somewhere.
We were up at Queen Alexandra Hospital then, under Colonel Wells. You were doing dressings in the dark, putting up at Thomas E. Splint in the dark, and every stacks of dressings and everything, and there was no movement. You were all confined to the hospital or the barracks.
We knew that the invasion was imminent because suddenly all access from the camp was stopped. In fact, it was guarded. Nobody could get in or out.
Then the next thing we knew was on the wireless that D-Day had started. And we just gleaned up what news we could get on the as I call it, the wireless, because that's what it was called then.
It was now or never. The men moved, everybody moved with quiet purposefulness. No gung-ho. They had a job to do, and it was the last throw of the dice.
This is Portsmouth. We'll go out.
If I'd have thought too much about it, I thought, well, what I'm doing now is going out to kill somebody. All this ammunition and all this stuff, it's going out to kill people, which it was. We were supplying the troops over there, weren't we, with our guns and everything, so it all makes sense, doesn't it? But we all did our bit. Everyone helped each other. Yeah, it was a feeling that we had a common enemy.
We went off on the Bonnie Prince Charlie, and the Navy made us very welcome, and they asked us what we'd like to drink, and we didn't realise then that all naval drinks are duty free. So we were in a reasonably happy state by the time we actually, and then we got down grappling nets down the side of the ship and into a landing craft, and then we were landed on the beach.
And when they said it was the longest day, I assure you it was the longest day. And the first hospital ships come back, but we went out to meet them, a team, because the nurses were pretty exhausted by that time. And our hospital took in, on D-Day 2, 3,953 casualties. And the stretchers stretched miles out down outside the hospital. One time we had 11 nationalities on our burns unit, and we had this young boy there, and he'd been badly burned. So I knew that the boy was dying, and I sat there and put my hand on his knee, and as time got on, I knew then he was going. So I stood up and put my hand under the pillow and put his poor old burnt head over on the pillow. And I think he tried to say, "Auf Wiedersehen." So I kissed him there and blessed him. And that done me in. Of all what I'd seen and done, that was my Achilles heel. And I sat by the lad and I thought, here's this young man dying in a strange country, burnt like a cinder. Mother and father and family don't know where he is and probably won't know for months. It's all so futile.
I was so lucky myself, and my platoon was so lucky. We were probably the furthest forward. All around us, the battle was going on, and so we moved on. And the incredible thing is that the whole platoon, all of us, got past that part. I made sure that everybody else got into a slit trench, and I was crawling to find the local commander to see what was going on, and that was when a shell, I was the only one left out in the open then, and a shell landed and I got hit. And I looked at my right arm and it was in a horrible mess. And it was actually one of the happiest moments of my life, because I knew that I was out of it. I thought I'd probably lose the arm, but I knew I was going to be out of it with a clear conscience. And as I say, I was as happy as a lark.
And at all times, regardless of what you were doing, we had to have a clean apron and be clean. Colonel Wells insisted on that. He said, my nurses, apart from Escaline, when they bend over a patient, must be spotless. And when the chap opens his eyes and sees a good-looking nurse, all spotless, with a nice smile, he's home and dry. And that was carried out to the letter.
What happened on D-Day led to the liberation of France by Allied troops. D-Day forced the German army to fight a two-front war, which led to the ultimate downfall of Nazi Germany. An estimated 50 to 80 million lost their lives during World War II.
I'm glad that I played my part and I suppose didn't make a fool of myself or do anything stupid or cowardly. I don't think proud is quite the right word. I'm just pleased that I was able to do my best, that's all.
Regarding wars, nobody's learned any lessons, have they? I mean, they're still fighting, they're still doing it all. And that saddens me. Nobody learns any lessons from war, and there's no winners in war.
But war's a nasty business. It's a heart-wrenching business. And in the end, it achieves nothing.